watched season 3 of The Umbrella Academy, and here is what I thought. So, I absolutely loved this show so much. I was so excited to see season 3. I love watching The Umbrella Academy, and what I love so much about it is that the show about these siblings and their different relationships. Even though it is kind of like a supernatural sci-fi type of show with like superpowers, I do enjoy just the dynamics and relationships between each of the siblings. Season 3 was actually my favorite season so far. I liked how all the siblings started out together. In the previous seasons, they are all separated and they have to like try to find each other or make their way back to each other to save the world. And I just enjoyed that they all started in one place this time. And I think one reason for that as well is because to me, at least most of the seasons, the previous season, the pacing is kind of slow. And so I'm just waiting for them to get together. And it's like I guess the only thing I can compare it to is like a slow burn. Like you're just waiting for the event when all the siblings are together. And so I was happy that we got that near the beginning of the season for season 3. And I didn't have to wait for them to find each other like in season 1 and season 2 when you just want them to come together to figure everything out. So in season 3, they go back to the present day, but it isn't the present that they thought it would be. So instead of the Umbrella Academy, it is now the Sparrow Academy, and they are not part of any of it. So this present day is not what they expected. They kind of thought when they came back from saving the world in the past that they could just go back to how things were. But that is not the case. And now since they have no place to go, because the Umbrella Academy is technically not their home anymore, they have to find somewhere else to stay, and they end up staying in this hotel. And this hotel is kind of different and weird, and it does have a big part of season 3 as well. So they all go to this hotel, and they're trying to figure out like what's their new normal, what to do next. And then when the Sparrow Academy finds out who they are and that these other people in the past, or I guess in another timeline, used to be the big superheroes, they aren't happy about that. They're kind of see them as a threat. So we have like the Umbrella Academy doing their own thing, and then we have the Sparrow Academy everyone currently recognizes as the superheroes. And there are 2 separate groups as of right now. And every sibling in the Umbrella Academy is kind of doing their own thing. So how I'm going to do for this one is I'm going to actually go into each character for the Umbrella Academy at least, and break down kind of what they're going through throughout this season. So let's start with Ben. So Ben, at the end of season 2, we kind of see him cross over and go into, I guess, the afterlife. I guess he saw the light, because we no longer see Ben near the very end of season 2, which is very sad. Throughout the previous seasons, he was a ghost because he technically had previously died, but only Klaus could see him. But now, this time, Ben has really gone. So when we come back to season 3, Ben is alive. I was shocked when we got that season finale, when we got that like little cliffhanger in season 2. So we come back, we see Ben, and Ben is not who we are used to. This is a different Ben. And, we kind of get a different timeline. So Ben is kind of like the anti-Ben. This isn't the Ben they grew up with. This Ben's more like a jerk. And he's kind of be the leader of the Sparrow Academy. He wants to be number 1, but he's not there yet. But he's like climbing to get to the top of that ladder because he wants to be the leader of the Sparrows. So when the Umbrella Academy kind of meets him, they're like, this is not our Ben. We want our Ben back. So that is something that they're dealing with, getting used to this new Ben. I also feel like in this season, the new Ben still has a part of that previous Ben in him, like a past life, if you want to call it that he can't let go of. You kind of see it bits and pieces throughout the season. Like he's drawing this face of someone that he didn't meet in his current life, but it's part of previous Ben's life. And since these siblings are like, you look like our Ben was like nice and all these things, he can't get them to not see him like that, even though he kind of makes it kind of convincing with his attitude. And he doesn't really get the relationship of these new siblings because the Sparrow Academy kind of has a different dynamic than the Umbrella Academy. I feel like even in their weird way, the Umbrella Academy siblings are more family. Like they get on each other's nerves, but they're really close in their family. And from the Sparrow Academy, I feel like they don't have that family aspect too much about them. It's kind of more like a working relationship. They work together. They know how to work together. They know how to survive. But I feel like they're not super close or have that like sibling dynamic. I really, really did love seeing Ben alive in this season. I hated his attitude and kind of like the anti-evil Ben, but I'm glad we got to see Ben come back, and I'm hoping we get to see even more of him in the next season and see how that relationship comes about with all the siblings, because we do see Klaus try to reach out to Ben and try to be Ben's friend, at least this new Ben, and try to make him more welcoming and inviting, and Ben's kind of like, I don't get you guys. So I'm seeing if he grows to be more a part of the family in the next season. Not quite sure, but we'll see what happens. But I did enjoy seeing Ben back and alive this time. Okay, the next person I'm going to talk about is Five. So Five, after we get back to here to the present, and they kind of see that the present is okay and nothing seems to be wrong, Five becomes like a whole different person. He is ready to retire. So he has been trying to save the world from ending constantly. Like every time he's been back, he's been trying to save the world from ending. When he like in the very first season before he came back, the world had ended. So he was just, trying to save the world from ending like his entire life. And now they don't see any imminent danger. So he's like, I can retire, I can relax, I don't have to do this anymore. So they believe that currently they are safe. And usually Five is like so high strung and worried and trying to be the adult of all the siblings. Like, guys, we got to save the world, try to get them together. So this is a kind of a side of him we've never seen. He's relaxed, he's chill, he's ready to have that regular life. And when he was like going through all this and ready to just relax, I was like, yeah, I kind of forgot in their timeline, it's just been past days that they have been just saving the world. It's like a week goes by and then they travel and they have to save the world again. So when you watch it in seasons, I kind of forget about the timeline. So realizing that, oh yeah, like for a month straight, you guys have done nothing but basically save the world week after week. So when they try to get him to be more serious, try to get him to focus, like, hey, we need to do this, because they soon realize there is a danger that they need to focus on. It's kind of hard to reel Five back in. He's like, no, we're good. Nothing bad's happening. Let's relax. Let's chill. And when some of the other siblings are focusing on like, how does life look like now? Five is just like, I don't want to think about it. I just want to relax. I just want to not have to worry about people. I think this is just such an interesting side to see of him, because we've never seen this before. He's just been so like save the world, like business focused, and this is weird to see him kind of try to go on a holiday or go on a vacation. I just think it's great. Okay, next person I'm going to talk about is Klaus. So in this season, Klaus is kind of trying to have a relationship with their father, Hargreaves. So he is their father, but since in this new kind of future or present day, he's not the father they kind of know. So he tries to get him to know him more, thinking he's different. He's going to try to be a better father in this season. And also they do kind of work together on Klaus's power. So we all know that Klaus can communicate with the dead. That's how he was able to communicate with Ben. He was able to see him, and he was able to use Ben's powers from beyond the grave. So we know that about his power, but if there's nothing really dead around him, you don't really see him use it, because that's his power. He can use his powers through people who are dead or ghosts, things like that. So another part of his power that they're working on is Klaus coming back to life, which is absolutely crazy. No idea he had that ability, but they keep practicing him. Like, he gets hit by a car and then he finds his way back to come alive, and he keeps getting better and better and coming back faster and faster. So it's kind of interesting to see them work together in this new relationship, and it's also hilarious seeing him kind of like get hit by a car over and over again, and his father's like, okay, you did it faster this time, again. So we get to see that part of Klaus, and he begins mastering his power. But another part that Klaus is really interested in is finding his birth mother. Since he's not really a part of the the Sparrow Academy or the Umbrella Academy, whatever you want to call it. He wants to know why his mother had given him up that first time. Well, since they're no longer part of the academy, they're trying to figure out, if they see themselves, if their mothers kept them this time, or why would they give them away previously. So he goes and searches for his birth mother, and then he finds something interesting out actually about all of their birth mothers. So it turns out that before they were all born, their mothers actually died. So they don't really exist in this new timeline. I don't know if you remember from the previous seasons. It was when they were all born. It was like their mothers were just pregnant out of nowhere. So before that could happen, their mothers were all killed, and just their mothers, which was absolutely crazy. So they know something weird, at least at this point, is going on, and why would that happen to only their mothers? So yeah, there's a little mystery in here that we're trying to figure out. Okay, the next person I'm going to talk about is Diego. There were a lot of surprises for Diego this season. First one being, he is a dad. Lila comes back in this timeline where they're at this hotel, and Diego does miss her. He's like, Lila, sees her, and she brings back with her a kid, a son. And she's like, this is our kid. I've spent all these years raising him. It's your turn now. And he's like, what? I didn't even know you're, like, he had no idea. He was like, I didn't know I had a kid. So now she just dropped this kid off with Diego and then leaves. So now Diego's stuck with this kid, and he's like, I don't know what to do. I wasn't ready to be a dad. So he's taking this kid around with him, trying to figure out how to be a dad to like a young kid out of nowhere. And this kid was getting in trouble. It's so funny just to see Diego be a dad, and like he does really care for this kid and everything. And the kid's like, I'm so sorry. And he's like, you're not really good at this dad thing. It's just so funny. Them going back and forth and him trying to figure out how to be a dad. Turns out the kid is not actually his kid. So eventually Lila comes back, and they're discussing the kid and everything. And eventually she tells him, this kid is not our kid. This is actually my friend's kid. She tells him the truth, that she's actually pregnant with his kid. And I guess she was doing this to test him, to see if he's ready to be a father, to see if he would like do it, or if he'd be ready. She's pregnant. She doesn't know what to do. So she's just testing him. And I think it's really cool that they're gonna be parents. I'm so excited to see what they are like as parents in the future season, or if hopefully we'll see them as parents. I don't know if she'll be just more pregnant in the next season. I don't know where it'll go, but I'd be really, really excited to see them have a little family and see how they are together, because I love Diego and Lila. They're just a chaotic couple. So I'm interested to see what their kid would be like and their parenting style, to see what their family life is like. Okay, next person we're going to talk about is Luther. So in this season, Luther actually finds love, and I'm so happy for him. His storyline is just so cute. It's adorable. So he actually finds love with someone in the Sparrow Academy. And I was so happy he got to find a special someone. We can see throughout the seasons that Luther, ultimately, he just wants to be loved, whether it's by his father or if it's kind of that relationship he had with Allison. I feel like he just really, really wanted to find someone to love him for him. I was so happy we finally got to see him fall in love with someone that loves him for him. And her name is Sloane. I love Sloane. And it was like they were made for each other. And you just see how like they're both kind of weird and cute, but it works for them. But one thing about them is their love is not easy, because they're falling in love and they're from two families that kind of hate each other and are fighting with each other. And then it's them two, they're like trying to get everyone together to calm down and just be one. But as we see their relationship develop, we see that now that the world is ending, they just want to be together, and they know this probably their last chance. No one really knows how to stop the world from ending this time. They don't know what they're supposed to do. So if they believe if this is their last chance, they're going to spend it with each other. So they decide to get married. Yes, Luther and Sloane decide to get married in the season, which I thought was like interesting, but super cute. They get married and they invite all their family members. And even though their family members, some of them think they're crazy, like, are you guys seriously getting married when the world's ending? They're like, they just want to spend their last days together. So So they have their little wedding, invite all their family, and it's a cute little wedding reception of them spending together. Just in the darkest days, you want to find some light, and this was the light and the happiness everyone was focusing on near the end. Okay, next person we're going to talk about is Victor. So in this season, at least near the very beginning of the season, Victor becomes who he always truly believed he was. And so we see that in the beginning of the season, but near the middle to end of this season for Victor's storyline, we see him and Harlan. So near the end of season 2, Victor saved Harlan's life, but we kind of see Harlan have some type of powers, obviously from Victor. So Victor accidentally gave powers to this kid Harlan from the past. And now that they're back in the present, Harlan kind of finds Victor and gets reunited. But after they meet each other and get reunited, Victor realizes what he has done. And then he also finds out that Harlan was the one that killed all their mothers before they died, so they technically don't exist anymore. Victor decides to hide that from the rest of the group because he doesn't want anything to happen to Harlan. He wants to protect him. And so Harlan didn't really mean to kill their mothers. He accidentally did it. I believe he was so angry that he was trying to connect to whatever his power was, and that power came from Victor, and it also connected him to the rest of the Umbrella Academy. So accidentally, while being so angry, his power killed all their mothers. And I don't believe he realized he would do that at the time. And for that reason, the timeline messed up a whole lot with them not even being alive. They weren't able to even be chosen to be a part of the Sparrow Academy or Umbrella Academy, whatever you want to call it, the new Umbrella Academy. So Harlan was a major reason why this timeline, why they don't exist, and why there's a huge mess in the present day. So kind of during Victor's timeline is meeting Harlan and trying to figure out how to protect Harlan and trying to figure out how to save the world without anyone knowing what Harlan did. Okay, and the final person from the Umbrella Academy we'll talk about is Allison. And her storyline, she went through it this season. She goes through a lot, and I think the person that goes through the absolute most in this season, actually. So near the end of season 2, she kind of gives up her love of her life because she believes when she goes back to the present, she'll find her daughter. So she gives up the love of a man she truly did love to, see her daughter in the present day because she loves her daughter. So as soon as they get back in the present day, she's like, I want to see my daughter. I need to get back to her. She feels she's been away for so long, at least in her mind. It could be a day to her daughter, but she hasn't seen her daughter in forever. She wants to go back. It turns out her daughter is not alive. So as I said in the past, since she was never born, that means her daughter was never born. So when she goes to try and see her daughter, she no longer exists. So she came back thinking she would see her daughter and left the man she truly loved. And now she doesn't have her daughter and she doesn't have the love of her life. She basically lost everything. And after realizing she's lost everything, she kind of goes in this downward spiral. She's very, very upset because she's mourning kind of the death of her daughter and not being able to see her again. I feel so bad for her. Like, you really do think you're going to come back and everything's going to be the same. And if not the exact same, at least similar. And now she doesn't even have that option. So she's just not in a really, really good place at all. She's lashing out. She's, feel like going through all the stages of grief. So there's a lot that she's dealing with this season. And we see her kind of go down an evil path because to get her daughter back, she is willing to do anything. And that even means making a deal with the enemy, which is their father. So we know they have some type of deal, but we kind of don't know exactly what, but we know she ends up working with him. And he promised her something, and she's doing all this because she wants whatever he promised. And we don't know exactly what that is, but we know making a deal with him is not the best. Is not going to always come out as what you want. Okay, so we're coming to the end of the season. So that's kind of what every character was going throughout the season. But now let's take it all and lead you towards the end and how season 3 kind of ended. So one big thing is that this time their dad is alive, and we see Klaus trying to have a relationship with him. We see Allison kind of working with him. We do see some of the other siblings not really trusting him because they still see him as that man. And even though he might be the exact person who they know, he is still him, and they know his core values or his tendencies, however you want to say it, are pure evil. He's only out for himself, and he will do anything to get it. And we do learn that throughout this season. But he keeps saying he's a changed man. I'm not the same man you knew. When it comes to what he wants, he will not let anyone get in his way. And he even did kill his children. One of the people that he killed was Luther. He made it seem like that the world was ending, these evil people were the ones that killed Luther. Actually, it was him. And once Luther was killed, everyone's like, okay, we gotta do this. We gotta come together for Luther. So he kind of killed Luther and manipulated his children so that they would do what he would want to do. And then eventually he killed Klaus. And Allison is kind of feeling like, this doesn't feel right. I think he did this. And I believe she confronts him, and he's like, okay, I did it. This is for our plan. Like, do you really, confronts him, and he kind of admits it. And it was all to happen to put his plan into place. So at the very end of the season, we see that he's telling his kids to stand on these dots or on these things on the floor, and then they stand on them, and then there's like a bolt that's like sucking the energy out from them, happening to everyone but Allison. And this is where we see like, oh, something's going on, something's going down, but it's not happening to Allison because she was in on it with him, and she doesn't 100% know the whole plan. She just knew what she's going to be getting at as a result. So this is all happening to them, and she's like, we can't do this, we got to stop. And so she stops it, and by the time she stops it, they come back into a whole nother world. And it's where their father basically owns everything, which is absolutely crazy. Like, you see his name on buildings everywhere. So he basically owns the world, at least it seems like. And so everyone is still alive, basically. And they're like, where are we? What is this new future? What is going on? So they're kind of confused. We see Allison, actually, she opens the door to a home, and she has her daughter, and she has the guy she lost from the past, the love of her life. So with this, it looks like with this deal, she got the two people she loved most in the world, making this deal with her father. And so she seems very happy. We see the other siblings like, okay, I guess the world is no longer ending. And even though it looks like their father owns everything, they don't care. They just go their separate ways. Lila and Diego go somewhere. Ben goes somewhere. Victor goes somewhere. And Five goes. Luther is alive again. And so is Klaus. They all come back alive. Luther's alive again, but Sloane is not there. So he's out looking for Sloane, trying to figure out where Sloane is. If Sloane does not come back next season, I'm just going to say I'm going to be upset. So Sloane and Luther better have their happy ending. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, so it's this weird world, this new future where they are, and they're all going their separate ways. And then at the very end, we see their father with a woman looking down at kind of the world that they're living in now, where he owns everything. So it was definitely interesting and weird. I'm interested to see how season 4 is and how they explain that. I don't even think I explained it 100% correctly, so I'm sorry. Maybe just go watch the season 3 to get caught up and have it better explained than I am doing. But yeah, that's how season 3 went, y'all. Season 3 was just so good. I really loved it. And the ending, cliffhangers, so many questions. And I'm excited it got renewed for season 4. And I believe season 4 will be the final season. So I'm interested to see how they're going to wrap everything up. But if I gave this a rating, I would give this season 4 stars. I really did enjoy it a lot. And I can't wait to see what happens next. So what did you guys think of season 3 of The Umbrella Academy? Did you like it more than previous seasons like I did? Or did you not like it like the previous seasons? And what do you think will happen in season 4? Please leave your predictions down below. I would love to hear them. So that is what I thought of season 3 of The Umbrella Academy. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please keep a lookout for more reviews coming. Feel free to check out any more TV content on my website. If you guys are interested, I'll link that below. You can also go follow me on social media, and I'll link all those below for you as well. And as always, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, week, month, and hopefully a good rest of your year. And until next time, bye.